Hey developers, welcome back to another exciting tutorial. I'm Zuli. In this tutorial, we're going to learn to build a real estate website from scratch using React and Tailwind CSS. We'll start by building a simple navigation bar that will display the company logo, navigation link, and the contact us button. Then we're going to build a stunning hero section that is going to captivate our users. Also, we're going to build the search filter features that will allow users to filter property by location, property type, and price range. Also, we're going to build the property list section where we're going to display properties that we want our users to see on our home page. So these are few properties here, and for each property card we have the property image, we have the location, we have the property name, we have the price, and also other features that comes with the property. Then we're going to build a mission section that is going to showcase the website's purpose. So right here is the mission section here. So this is our mission section with a captivating image and also a button telling the user to book an inspection. Then we'll finalize this by building our footer section. Okay, so if we head back, let's test out the search filter functionality. So right here we have the search features. That means that we can search property by location, we can search by property type, and we can search by price range. So if I click on location and I want to filter out properties, all properties that matches with US location, if I click on search here, all the properties that will be displayed will be properties that are in USA. Okay, as we can see all of this now, the location here is USA, the location here is USA, the location here is USA, location here. Okay, so the location feature is working. If we search for properties that are in Canada, if I click on search, we're going to have properties that matches with the selected filter. So all properties that will be displayed will match with the location that I've selected earlier. Also, if you want to search by property type, we can select apartment, villa, or house. If I click on villa and I click on search, all properties that will be displayed will match the villa. Okay, so if we check our featured properties, all the properties here are villas. Okay, as you can see, it's right here. And if we filter by price range, we can filter properties by price range. If we filter from 0 to 200,000, all the properties that will be displayed would match with the price as well. So all the prices here are in between 0 to 200, as you can see it right here. Okay. Let's test filtering with each of the properties. So if we pick our location and we select USA and we select an apartment within this price range, if I click on search as well, the property that will be displayed will be the location here is USA. This is an apartment and the price is in between 17,000, which is in between USA, which is in between 0 to 200,000. If I select a villa that is between 200,000 to 300,000 and I click on search, all properties that will be displayed is going to be, this is USA, this is a villa, and this is the price here. So the price is in between 200 to 300,000. If we select houses in Canada, that is a villa as well, or it's a house that is in between this price, all the properties that will be displayed here as well would match with what we have selected. Okay, and also if we select an apartment as well and we click on search, all the property that will be displayed is going to match with the location, which is Canada. This is an apartment here and this is the price range here. So all our filter functionality is working. And if we reset back, the featured properties that we have will be displayed. So this is the initial feature property. Another thing we're going to learn in this tutorial is to view the detailed section of a property. So if we click on the property name right here, it will redirect us to the property details page. So here, if you see this parameter here, it's showing that this is home. This is the third home on the list. This is the name of the property. This is the price of the property here, the location of the property. These are the features of the property: 3 beds, 2 baths, and a villa. The property image as well will be displayed. Property description will be displayed. Other descriptions as well. And also we're going to have a form where users can fill to book an inspection. So all of this is what we're going to learn in this tutorial. And if I click on the logo, it's going to take us back to our own page. Without further ado, let's get started. So you start by opening any code editor of your choice. I'm going to use VS Code. To make things simple, we're going to create our project folder in our terminal. So you navigate to terminal, click on new terminal. And in my terminal, I'm going to change directory to my desktop. Then you click on enter. Then we're going to create the project folder in the desktop. So you're going to run this command: npm create vit at latest, the project's name, which is a real estate Tailwind. I'm just going to add Tailwind here, space hyphen space hyphen templates React. Then we'll click on enter as well. And then we're going to change directory to the project folder that we just created. So here, cd real estates, the name is real estate Tailwind. Then we'll click enter. Then we're going to run this command: npm install, click enter as well. So now our React app has been successfully installed. The next thing we're going to do now is to run npm run dev. But before that, we need to open our project folder in a new folder. So we'll come right here, click on file, navigate to open folder, then click on desktop. In the desktop, we created this project folder, real estate Tailwind. Click on select folder, and a new window for your React will be opened. And now the next step is to navigate back to the terminal, click on new terminal, and right here we're going to run npm run dev, click enter. This will generate a link for us to view our React app in our local browser. So while that is still working, we have all of this installed here. We have our source folder, our node modules, public folder. We have all of this right here. So right now we have a link. Click on follow link, and the React app is going to open up in your local browser. So this is what we have. Okay, so this React app is working. So now the next step is to install Tailwind, and let's try to make some changes and see if it's going to show right here in our local browser. So I'm just going to reduce this a bit, open our app.gsx, then where we have vit plus React, I'm just going to type in subscribe to my channel. Okay, if we click on this now, this is what we have: subscribe to my channel. So guys, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. So our React app is actually working. Our next step now is to do some basic cleanups on the app. So here we'll navigate back to our VS Code, Control A. I'm going to delete everything we have here, and I'm going to use this shortcut to create a React snippet, RAFCE. Click enter. To use this shortcut, you need to have this extension installed. You need to have this extension, ES7 React Tridos React Native extension installed. I have mine installed, so ensure to install that. Back to our Explorer, we've cleaned up this. Then I'm going to delete the app.css as well. Click on delete. My index.css, I'm going to do the same thing, Ctrl A, wipe it all off. And our index.html, for the title of our project, we're going to change it to HPG properties, so that it's going to reflect right here. Okay, as you can see, the only thing we have here is app showing. So the next step now is to install our Tailwind CSS. So open a new tab, type in tailwindcss.com. It's going to lead you to the official Tailwind CSS website. So here I am. Click on the documentation, and right here on the documentation, getting started with Tailwind CSS. So Tailwind CSS has just updated. If you want to learn to use the new version of Tailwind CSS, this is the right tutorial for you. And I also have another tutorial on my page where you can learn to install Tailwind CSS using Vite as well. So we're going to follow all the steps here to install Tailwind CSS now. So we're going to copy this here and we're going to paste it in our terminal. So I'm going to expand this terminal. I'm just going to create a new one. Then I'm going to paste in what I just copied. Click enter. Make sure you're connected to the internet. Then for our vite.config.cs, in our case, it's going to be .js because we're using JavaScript, not TypeScript. We're going to copy this. Then we'll come back to our code editor and we're going to paste what we just copied immediately after this line of code. Then we'll head back to our browser. We'll copy this as well. Then we're going to paste this here as well. Then for our global CSS, we're going to copy this also. Open up our index.css and we're going to paste it here. So the next step is to rerun our program in our terminal. Okay. So right here, we already have a React app open here. Okay. So we're going to stop this, Ctrl C. So right here, after you press in Ctrl C, you're going to type Y. So this is going to stop the React app. So if we head back here, we have nothing to show for here. If I reload, the site can't be reached. So I'm going to close this. Then we're going to rerun npm run dev. Click enter. Then we have a new link. Click on follow link. So we have it here as app. Okay, so we can now test out our Tailwind. So after this, we can now style. So I'm just going to copy this styling method. Text is 3XL, font is bold with underline. So we'll close all of this. Then let me just clear this. I'm going to type in H1. So here is going to be subscribe to my channel. And let's try to style this. Class name, text, 3XL, font, bold. Let's just say justify center. And then let's use a text color as well. Let's just choose amber 500. Okay, so this is what we have now. You can see that the color is showing and the Tailwind CSS is working well. So now we're going to close this now. Next thing is to check on the necessary dependencies that we need. So if we view this website properly, we have icons here. We have icons right here. This is the location icon, the property type icon, the price range icon. We have all these icons here. So we need to install React icon. Also, if we click on any property name in the property card, it's going to lead us to the property details page. So if I click on this, it's going to lead us to the property details page. So this is because we have our route set up. That means that we need to install React router. So we have two things to install. We have React icons to install. We're installing the npm package, and also we need to install the React router DOM. Okay, so this is for React icon here. If you're on this page, you click on the installation code, then we'll navigate back to our terminal, and then we're going to paste it here. Then right here for our React router DOM as well, we're going to copy the installation code. So while our React icon is installing, let me just create another terminal, a new one. Then I'm going to paste React router DOM. While all of this is installing, we're going to be creating our components, pages, context that we're going to use for this project. So in our source folder, we're going to create 3 folders. The first is going to be our component folder. Second is going to be the pages folder. And lastly, we're going to have our context folder. So and also we're going to have our data file. So here we're going to have data.jsx. So right here we're going to have the array of objects that is going to contain all the property information. So I've already created this. I'm going to drop the link in the description box. So do well to check the description box and get access to this. So these are for the details. These are for all the images, and we have the properties, an array of objects for. So for each of these objects, we have the property details. We have the ID, the name, the price of the property, country, which is location as well, property features, the description of the property features as well, the image of the property, and the property type. So this is all of it. I'm going to drop this in the description box, and also we need to get the images as well. So I've copied all the images that we're going to use for this tutorial. So this is all our data. We have the images. Now let's continue. Then I'm going to be creating all the files that we're going to need in our components. So we'll start with our navigation file. Here in the components, we'll have the navbar.gsx. We'll use refc to create React snippets. Then we're going to create the hero section, hero.gsx, refc as well. Then we're going to create our property lists. Let's just name it estate list.gsx, refc as well. We're going to create the search.gsx, refc for this as well to create React snippets. Then we're going to create our mission page, mission section.gsx, refc for this as well. And finally, we're going to create the footer.gsx, refc for this as well. So I'm going to close all of the files that we've created. And then we'll close the components. Now for our context, we'll come back to that. And for our pages, we're going to have our own page.gsx, refc for this as well. Then we're going to have the details page for each of the property. So here we're going to have estates details.gsx, and here as well we'll have refc. Okay, so now that we're done creating our pages, let's see if our dependencies have been installed. So open this file. Okay, we have our Tailwind CSS version 4.0. React is installed, React DOM is here, React icon is here, React router DOM is here, and Tailwind CSS as well is here. So now the next step is to set up our route so that we can move from one page to another using links. So right here, I'm just going to delete what we have at the center, and then we're going to set up our route. So first off, we're going to render the navigation component, which is going to be at the top of every pages. So right here, I'm going to have navbar. Then we're going to close this. So we're going to import our navigation bar. So import navbar from // okay, // we have it in our component, and we have it here at the navbar. The next thing now is to define our routing structure for our application. So here we're going to use routes with an S. We're going to close this. We need to get the routes from imports routes from React router DOM, and also we need to import routes without an S from React router DOM as well. And here we're going to render, we'll use our route without an S to render our home page and to render our estate details page. So here we use ROUTE. It has the self-closing tag. So within this, we're going to define our paths. So we'll use / here, and then we want this to lead us to our home page. Okay, so elements will be equal to, let me use a space here, open our curly braces, then we're going to render our home page component. So here we're going to have home page, and we're going to close this. Okay, so right here we're going to import our home page from / pages folder / home page. And the next thing we're going to do is to create a dynamic route, and we're going to be using id, which is going to represent a dynamic parameter that would allow fetching details of a specific property. Okay, so this route will be a little bit different. So we're going to have routes paths equals to quotes / here we're going to have home / followed by a colon id. Then here we render our elements, open our curly braces, and right here we're going to have the estate details page. Then we're going to close this as well. Okay, so what we basically did here is we have a dynamic routing set up here. Instead of using the / home for the estate details page, we have different um, properties that we are listing. So we want to ensure that we are able to view each a specific property details using the ID. Okay, so that is why we have colon ID here. We want to be able to view the specific property details using the ID. So that's why we rendered the estate details here, but we have a dynamic parameter here. We're going to understand that very well later on in the tutorial. So we're going to import estate details from / our pages folder / estate details. Okay, and finally, after our route, we're going to render the footer component that is going to be at the bottom of every pages. So here we're going to have footer, and we're going to close this, and also we would import it here. Import footer from our component folder / footer. Okay, so this is what we have. Now if you view our page on our coded on our local browser, we're not going to get nothing because we're here to wrap our application, the browser router around our application. So we'll head back to main.gss where we have our application. I'm going to delete this strict mode, or delete the strict mode that we have here. Make this a comment, and right here we're going to have browser router. Here we're going to have router, not browser router. So here we're going to have router from React Router DOM. I'm going to close this. So I'll cut this and paste this in between our router. So here we're going to import browser router as router. So here, so we're going to have browser router as router. So now if we check our page here, we're going to see this. We have our navigation bar, we have our home page, and we have our footer. We're seeing navigation bar and footer because our navigation bar is going to display at the top of every page and the footer is going to display at the bottom of every page. So now we're going to work on our navigation bar and also all the details that will be in our home page. So let me explain the difference between the navigation bar and the home page. Where we have the navigation bar and the footer. So right here, this is a page. This is our home page. Okay, so we have our navigation bar at the top of all pages. Then for our home page, we have our hero section. We have our set filter, we have the properties that we want to list on the home page. So right here we're just listing out 6 properties, and this is the only thing that the user is going to see for the home page. Only if they filter properties here, then other properties will display. Then also we have the mission section and other sections. So if we click on a property now, we're going to see the property details page. This is the dynamic URL parameter that we did the other time, /home/id. The ID of this property is 1. The first property, which is Ocean Breeze Apartment. If we check our data.gsx, this is it, Ocean Breeze Apartment. The ID is 1. Okay, so with the ID we can dynamically view different estate details, property details. Okay, so the ID here is 1. This is the name of the apartment, and we have the details of the apartment, right? But if you notice, we have our navigation bar and our footer in all pages. This is a new page. It is not our home page. So we're going to learn to do all of that. So first off, let's create our navigation. So I'm just going to close this as well, close this as well. Then we'll open our navbar.gsx. So right here, we're going to, let me make 3 comments. We're going to have the logo section. We're going to have the nav link section, and we're going to have the button section. So for the logo section, we're going to have a div tag, but before that we want the logo to link us to the home page. So here I'm just going to use the link tag from React Router DOM. So I'll close the tag here, and in between this I'm going to have my div tag, but we need to have our properties here. So this is going to lead us to our home page. So this is for /. Right here, when we're setting up our route, the path to the home page is /. So ensure that the path matches with the path to your link as well. So this is our div tag here, and we're going to have an h2 tag. So the logo is going to be the property, the company name, HPG Properties. Okay, so next we have our navigation link. I'll create another div tag right here. Then we're going to have lists with 4 list items. So the first list item is going to be home. Second is going to be about. The third is going to be properties. And finally, we're going to have the mission. Then we have our button. We'll have a div tag right here. In between this div tag, we're going to have our button tag. And right here, we'll have our contact us as the text. So now, this is what we have. Okay, so let's see. Let's inspect. Okay, link is not defined. We did not define. So right here, I'm just going to import link from React Router DOM. Okay, so this should work now. All right, so this is what we have. This is for our navbar. Now let's style. So right here, class name, display is going to be flex, justify will be between, items will be at the center, px will be 24, py will be 4, and we'll set the background color to this color code cyan 300. Now let me close this so that we can have a larger space. So class name here, the text will be 2XL, that's for the size. Font will be bold. Then we have the links. So this is going to take flex. Space on x-axis will be 8. And the size of the text will be large. Font is going to be semi-bold. Then for each list item, I'm going to select all. Class name. If you hover on this, it should have the text color to be 500, cyan 500, and the cursor will be pointer. Next, we have our button. We'll have a border around it, and the border color will be 400, cyan 400. Px will be 10, py will be 4. The font of the text will be semi-bold. We want the border radius around it, so rounded full. And if you hover, we want the background color to be sky blue, 500. Okay, and then we have it here. If you hover on this is it. So next is to build our own page. So in the home page, we're going to have our hero section. So first off, we'll come here, create our hero. We have our hero section snippet here. And in our pages, we're going to mount our hero section in our own page component. So here, hero, then we're going to close this. And right here, we're going to import hero from our component // component folder / hero. Okay, so if we come back here, we're going to have hero in the home page. Then we'll open our hero file and we can now start coding. So right here, we'll have a div tag. And in this div tag, we'll have another div tag. Or we're going to have our h1 tag and our image tag. So for the image, we're going to get the image. We're going to be using this second image right here. So we need to import hero image from // our asset folder / the name of the image is hero2.png. So here we'll replace this with curly braces and we'll enter the name of the image, hero image. So for this h1 tag, it's going to take this text. So for our h1 text, we're going to have this text, find your dream home, which is, let me just close this. And if we check our page now, this is what we have. This is the image. So this is our text and our image. So let's style so that it's going to look like this. So right here, class name, we want it to display grid, and the height should be the screen size. The width should take the entire width. Place items and the center. And then our background color is going to be cyan 300, rounded on the bottom right by 30%. So here we're going to have 30%, and then rounded on the bottom left by 30% as well. So I'm going to close this. And right here, create a class name as well. We want all the text at the center. Then for our H1 class name, the text is going to be 6XL and our font will be semi-bold. Margin top, we're going to use 3. Now for the image, the width is going to take 1400 pixels and the height is going to take 750 pixels. Then object fit will be contain with a negative margin top of 28. So this is what we have after styling. So the next thing we're going to work on now is our search functionality, and we're going to open our search file. I'll clear this up. I'm going to have 3 comments. This is for location, and the next one will be for property type, and we're going to have for price range as well. So here, price range. For our location, we're going to have a div tag. In the div tag, we're going to have our icon. Because we have installed React icon, I'm just going to type in an icon name, and React is going to bring out the list of icons that matches with what I have typed. So here we need the map marker icon. So here we're going to have map marker. I'm going to use the second icon here, and I'm going to close it. After this icon, we're going to have another div tag where we're going to have our p tag. So right here, we're going to have our p tag, and it's going to take this text, location, open a bracket, type in any. Then we're going to have our select tag. So I'm just going to clear this. So we need our select tag, and in between the select tag, we're going to have options, and we need 4 options. So here times 4, we're going to have 4 options. We're going to set in the value later. So for the first option, this is going to be select your place. The second option is going to be USA. The third option is going to be Canada. And the last option here is going to be UK. And for the value, this is going to take the default. This is going to be USA. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. This is going to take Canada. I'm going to copy this and paste this here. And this is going to take UK right here. Okay, and then after this we have our property type as well. So for the property type, we'll have a div tag. If we close the div tag, we're going to start with our icon. We need the home icon, so I'm just going to type in home, and I'm going to use this home icon here. I'll close this. Then we'll have another div tag. So for this div tag, we'll have our paragraph text, and it's going to take property type, any, and we'll have our select text, select tag. In between the select tag, we're going to have our options, which is going to be 4. We need 4 options. And for the property type, here it will be select your place as well. Select your place. Second option is going to take apartment. The third option is going to take villa. The last option is going to take house. So select. Okay, so this place is going to take default. The value for the first option will be default. The value for the second option will be the same text in the option. This is also going to be the same. The house as well will be the same. Then we'll have our price range. Create a div tag. We need the $sign. So here, $sign icon. So selecting this, and I'll close this. Then we'll create a div tag. We'll have our p tag. This is going to be price range. Price range, we're going to have any to select any price range. Then we'll use the select. So I'll clear this name and ID. In between the select tag, we're going to have our options, which is going to be 4 options. The first option is going to take, the value is going to be default. And here will be select price range. The option for the first one will be 0 to 200,000. The second option will be 200 and 1,000 to 300,000. The third option will be 300 and 1,000 to 400,000. And right here for the value as well, I'm going to copy this and paste it here. I'll do the same thing for the second option value. Copy this and I'll paste it here. For the third option value as well, copy this and paste this here. After the price range, we'll have another section for our search button. So here we're going to have the search button icon, and we'll use the button tag, and it's going to take the search icon. So we're going to select this icon here, the search icon. So after creating this, we're going to mount it in our home page. Here we're going to have search. So this is for our search. It has been imported here, and right now this is what we have. If we click on this, you can see the options. If you click on this as well, you can see the options. If you click on this, and we have our search icon. So we need to style it so that it's going to look like this. So we'll open our search back, and then we'll start styling. So here we're going to have a class name. Display position is going to be absolute. Display is going to be flex. Items here will be at the center. Gap will be 4. Flex 1. And we'll have a border. And we don't need the border around here. So here we're going to set the width to 80%. The width here is going to take 80% of the screen. We'll have the space here. And we'll have a background color of white. Padding will be 4. And the rounded will be large. We're going to add a negative margin top of 8. We'll have a margin left of 28. So let me close this so that we can see the entire CSS. Now for the location container, the div tag here for the location, we'll display flex. Items will be at the center as well. We'll add a gap of 4, padding of 2, and here we're going to have flex 1. So we don't need flex 1 here. That was a typo error. And we're going to have a border here, and our border color will be gray, 300, and rounded will be LG, will be large. For the icon, for the location icon, the text color, the icon color will be 500, cyan 500. And here we'll have the text, the font size to be 2XL. Now right here for the location text, the text color will be gray, 800, and the font size will be semi-bold. Also for the select option, we'll have a border none. We'll set our border to none. Outline, we'll set it to none as well. And we'll have a background color that will be transparent. The text color will be gray, 700. The width will be full, and the margin top will be 1. So we're going to use the same styling that we have in the location container for property type. So right here, I'm just going to copy the styling that we have here, and then I'm going to paste it on this div tag. We'll use the same styling for the icon. I'll paste it right here. We'll use the same styling for the p texts. We'll paste it right here, and we'll use the same styling for the select tag, and I'll paste this as well here. Also for the third option, which is the price range filter, we'll do the same. We're going to copy the styling that we have here. We're going to paste it here. Copy this other styling. We'll paste it here. Copy the p tag styling. We'll paste it. We'll use it for this price range. And the select tag as well. We'll paste it here as well. So this is what we have at the end of the day. Okay, we have our location, our property type, and our price range. So for the button, we're going to style the button as well. So here we'll have class name. The background color will be the same, 500. The text will be white. That is for the icon. PX we'll set it to 6. PY we'll set it to 3. Rounded will be LG, and we'll have cursor pointer as pointer. Then the font size will be Excel. Okay, we need a space right here. The display will be flex. Items will be at the center. Justify the item to the center as well. And when you hover on it, you want to change the background color to cyan 700, and we'll add a transition as well for easy change. So this is what we have. Finally, we have our location, property type, price range, and our search icon. So this is what we're trying to build, right? Next thing we need to do now is to display our property list. So we already have our data for all the property details. So now we need to display our property list. So we're going to close our search, and then we're going to open our estate list. So right here we have our estate list open. But first of all, before we start creating the property list in the estate list, we need to work on our context, because so here let me create a file, and the name of the file is going to be home context.gsx. Okay, so right here the context folder is a powerhouse that allows other components and pages to have access to states, logics, and basically functionalities that will be in the context file without having to pass it down as props. So here in this context file, we're going to have all our states that we need for this project. We're going to have all the functionalities that we will need so that other components can have access to it without having to pass it down. So we'll start by importing the necessary React functions that we need here. So I'm going to import React. Come on, it should be caps lock. So here we're going to import React. Okay, it shouldn't be inside the curly braces. We're going to import React from React, and also the next thing we're going to do is to create a context for managing home related data. So here, because we need access to it in other components, I'll use the export function. Export const home context will be equal to, okay, this is supposed to be const home context to be equals to create context. Okay, and then the next step is to import our properties from our data file, all of this, so that other components can have access to it. So here we're going to import properties from the data file. So the next thing we're going to do here is to create the context provider component. So here we'll have const home context provider be equal to, open our curly braces, then right here we're going to create an arrow function, and then in between these we're going to return all the states values and function to the children component. So here we're going to return, okay, return, open our brackets. Then here is going to be home context dot provider. So in between this, we're going to have the children. Okay, right here as well, we're going to have the children. And here is going to take the value. And this value is going to store the values and function to the children component. So we're going to come back to this. After this, we're going to insert our values here. After this, we need to export our home context provider. So here, export defaults home context provider. Okay, so with this now we've created our context, but we're still going to work more on it. So this is just the simple way. And also right here in our main.gsx, we're going to wrap the home context provider around our app. So right here, I'm just going to cut this, Ctrl X. Then here, we're going to have home context provider from our context. And then I'll paste what I just cut using Ctrl V. I'll paste it. So we have wrapped our entire application around our home context, and the home context has been imported right here. So the next step now is to create a state to store all the available homes, which we're getting from our properties file, from our properties in our data file. So right here, we're going to have const homes, comma, setter function set homes will be equals to use states will be properties from the properties file that we have imported right here. So if we check back, we have nothing here, right? But to ensure that what we're doing is correct, we shouldn't have any error on our page. So let's continue. So now that we have the homes here and the setter function, we're going to include it in the values here. So this will be for the list of all the homes. So we open our estate list page, and then first thing we need to do is to extract our homes from the homes value from our context. So right here, open estate lists, then we're going to have const homes equals use context. It's going to be home context. Okay, so right here we delete this. So right here we're going to have our head section. So here, header section, and we'll have the property list section. For the head section, we'll have a div tag, and for the property list section, we'll have another div tag. For the head section, we'll have an h2 tag that will take this text, featured property. Then we'll have a p tag that will take this text as well, and then we'll have our property list. So for the property list, we have a div tag already. Okay, so in between this div tag, we're going to map over the homes array. So we'll come in here, open our curly braces. So here we're going to have homes dot map home. We'll open our brackets, and here we're going to have a div tag for each home. So right here in the div tag, we'll have a key that will uniquely identify each home, and this is going to be home dot id. We're using the id to identify each of the homes, and then for each of the home, we're going to have an image. We're going to have a div tag as well. So inside this div tag, we'll have a p tag. We'll come back to that. Then we'll have an h3 tag, which is going to be for the home name. So the home name is going to lead us to, if we click on the home, the name of the property is going to lead us to the property details. So here we're going to have link from React Router DOM. So we're using this link, and right here we'll have our h3 tag in between, and it's going to take the home name. I'm going to come back to that, and now this is going to lead us to, I'll open a curly braces. Okay, here we want to create a dynamic parameter for the each for a specific home. So we'll have backtick, we use a backtick. Then here we're going to use home / $, open a curly braces, and here we're going to have home.id, and we're going to have a key which is going to be home.id as well for each home. And then after this link we'll have another p tag. After the p tag we'll have a div tag for the features, and in between this we'll have two span tags. Okay, so we can now insert their values. So for the image we're going to have home.image. For the p tag here it's going to be for the location. So here we're going to have home.country. The h3 tag is for the name, so home.name. Then the p tag here is for the price, so we use a $, then our curly braces home.price. Then for the span tag will be, the first one is going to be the bid, home.beds, and the last one will be for home.bids with an S. And then we'll open the home page and mount the estate list here. So here we'll have estates list components, and we're going to import estate lists. So if we open our browser now, we have the lists here. We have the image, we have the name of the property, the location, the price, number of beds and bits. Okay, we'll head back to this estate lists, and for here we're going to have a text beds, and this is going to be bits. Okay, so here it's going to show us that we have 4 beds and 3 bits for this property. So we need to style it so that it can look like this. Okay, let's start. So to style this now, here we'll have margin top of 30. We set the margin top to 30. Now for the header section, class name, we want all the text at the center, and for the h2 tag, give it the class name as well. Text should be 4XL, and the font will be bold. For the p tag, class name, the text color will be 600, margin top will be set to 4, and we'll set the max width to 4XL. We want it at the center, so MX will be auto. Now for the property list, display will be grid columns will be 1, and for medium size, the grid it's going to display 2. For a large screen, grid column we want it to display 3. We'll give it a gap of 8. Padding will take 12. Place items at the center. So for each property card here, we're going to style this as well. The background color we'll set it to white, rounded LG. We want a shadow as well, LG, and the max width will be small. Overflow we're going to set it to hidden. This is going to be just overflow, not X. So overflow we're going to set it to hidden, and we'll set transition, transform, then hover, scale of 105. Okay, that should work. Now for the image as well, class name, the width to be full, height to be 72, object to be cover, then rounded on the top right. We're going to set that to 100 pixels. Rounded on the bottom left, we set it to 100 pixels as well. Now for the location, so for our p tag, class name, the text color will be set to gray, 500. Then we're going to set the padding here as well. So class name, padding, set it to 4. And for the h3 tag as well, we'll have a class name. Text will be 2XL. And the font will be semi-bold. Text color will be gray as well. 800. And we'll have a margin top of 2. And then if you hover on it, we're going to change the text color to cyan 500. So we're going to be using this color code, and we'll add the transition as well. And for the p tag, for the price, the font size will be 2XL. The text color will be this color code, and we'll have the font as semi-bold as well. So font here, semi-bold. Margin top will also be 2. Now for these two span tags, the div tag that is enclosing it, display is going to be flex, justify between. The text color will be gray for both of them, gray 600. Text to be small. Margin top, we'll set it to 4. Okay, so let's see what we have on the screen. So this is what we have now. As you can see, this is looking all good. If you hover on this, you can see that the text is changing color. So the next thing we're going to work on now is to ensure that this search function works with the properties that we've listed, and even the ones that we did not list, because for these properties listed, we only have, we have all properties listed. So for what we're trying to build, we have about 6 properties listed right here. So we're still going to work on that later. So but first we need to ensure that our search functionality is working for this. So we're going to work on the search functionality for this filtering option here, so that when the user selects a location, the properties that matches the location will be the only ones that will be displayed. And also when user select a property type, only the properties that match that property type will be displayed. And also for price range, and if they do location and property type, is also going to display property type and price range. That's also going to show the ones that matches. So that's what we're going to do next. So right now we have all the properties listed, but in the tutorial later on we're going to reduce the property list to 6. For now we have about 18 properties listed right here, so we're going to reduce the properties to 6 later. But at the same time, if the user filters the location, property, or price range, any property out of all the entire properties will come out, is going to display. So let's work on the search functionality. So we're going to do that in our home context, because as I said earlier on, I said that the home context is the powerhouse that enables all other components or pages to have access to functions, states, without having to pass it down as props. So we're going to have our functionalities right here. So the first step we're going to take is to define a helper function to check if a filter value is still default. So here we're going to have const is default be equal to value equals default. And then the next step is to create states and set a function for filtering the home based on our user selection, and it's going to be based on the country, property type, prices, and the filtered houses. So we're going to have consts country, comma, set country will be equals to use states is going to be set to defaults. So this is the state that we're using to store the selected country. We're going to do the same again, consts, or better still, I'm just going to copy the first one. So here, let me copy this. I'm going to paste it 4 times. So this is not going to be country. This is going to be for property. And this is going to be set property. And the use state is also going to be default. And this is going to be for price. Set a function as well, set price. Use state default as well. And then we'll have filtered houses. And set a function, set filtered houses. And our use state in this case is not going to be default, it's going to be an empty array. So this last line here is a state and a setter function that stored filters home based on our user selection. So initially right here we created a state to store the entire homes, all the lists of available homes that we have, and this filtered houses here is to store homes based on our user selection. So the next thing we're going to do now is to create a function to filter home based on the selected filters. So here let me write a comment, function to filter homes based on user selection. And here we're going to have consts. I'm going to name the function undo search will be equal to, it's going to be an arrow function, of course. Okay, so first off we need to extract the minimum and maximum price from the selected price range, because we have several price range here. In the price range that we have here, we have 0 to 200,000, 200,000 to 300,000, 300,000 to 400,000. So we need to extract the minimum and maximum prices from the selected price range. So here I'm going to have consts. This is going to be stored in form of an array. Minimum price and maximum price will be equal to price is not equal to default. So we're using the ternary operator here. So price dot splits an hyphen, and then dot map number 0, infinity. So here we're going to have infinity. And the next step now is to filter homes based on selected criteria. So I'm going to create a variable here that is going to store all of that. Const new houses will be equal to homes dot filter house. Open our curly braces, and here we're going to convert the price string to a number, because in right here in our data file we have our price as a string, so we need to convert it to a number. So that is the first step. So we're going to have it here, const house price will be equal to, we're converting to an integer, so pass integer house dot price. And then the very next step is to start filtering. So we're going to take different possibilities. We're going to consider different possibilities. So first possibility is to return houses if all filters match. So we'll start with an if statement. If house dot country equals country, that means that if house dot country, the one that we have that we've stored before in our context, matches the selected country, and also if house dot property equals property, and if house price is greater than or equal to the minimum price, because for price we're going to check the minimum and maximum right here where I explained it earlier. Okay, so we have an error, so I'm going to use the one that we've already built. So here the minimum price here is 0 and the maximum is 200,000. The minimum here is 200,001 and the maximum is 300,000. The minimum here is 300,001 and the maximum is 400,000. So we're doing minimum and maximum. So let's continue. And house price is less than or equal to the maximum price. Then we're going to return house. Okay, so this is for this is the first probability. We want to return houses if all filters match. If we select a country, if we select a property, and also if we select a price, considering the minimum and maximum price. So the next possibility that we're going to consider now is to return houses if no filters are selected. That means if we have default value, we want to return the entire available houses. So here we're going to have if is default country and is default as well property, which is property type, and is default. Okay, let me close this so that we'll have a larger screen. If it's default price, then we want to return all house. So here we're going to return house. The next thing to consider now is if only country filter is selected. So if the user only selects country, we want to return the houses that matches with the country. So here we're going to have if is default. So here it's going to be if is not default. That means if country is selected. So if is not default country and is default, that means nothing is selected. Property type, property, and is default price, we're going to return house.country that is equal to the country selected. So here we're checking if country is selected, which is not default. That is why we have this exclamation mark here. So we're checking for houses that we select only the country, but we did not select the property and we did not select the price. We want to return houses that matches the country. Okay, so the next is to check if houses, we want to return houses where only the property filter is selected. So I think I'm just going to copy this so that to make it faster. I'll paste it. So this is not default. So this is supposed to be is not default. Okay, so in this case now, if country is not selected, but we're selecting property and we're not selecting price, we're only filtering we're only considering one thing to filter. We want to ensure that we're not selecting our country, we're not selecting price, but we're selecting property. We should return houses that matches property. So here we're going to return house.property that equals to the property selected. Okay, so property is not default. Next thing that we're going to consider is the price. So we want to return houses where only the price range filter is selected. So we're going to have this. Let me paste what I just copied earlier. So this is not default. In this case, price is not default. So if price is not default, that means it's selected, and property is not selected, country is not selected, we should return. So I'm just going to delete this. So we're going to return house price. So here we're going to return house price that is greater than or equal to the minimum price and house price that is less than or equal to the maximum price. So in this case, we're selecting the price. So we're going to, and we're not selecting country and property. So we're going to return house price that is greater than or equal to the minimum price and house price that is less than or equal to the maximum price. So the next thing that we're going to consider now is to return houses where both country and property filters are selected. So we want to return houses where both country, that is the location, and the property type filter is selected. So here I'm going to paste the same thing. So in this case, we want to select, so it's not default country and it's not default. So right here I'll put an exclamation mark. It's not default property, but price is default. Right, our price here is default. So what we're going to return here is going to be house.country that is equal to the country and house.property that is equal to the property. Okay, so that's what we're going to do in this case. So this case is for if country is selected, that means it's not default, and if property is selected, that means it's not default, but price is default. We want to return houses that match with the country selected and the property selected. So the next thing is to return houses where both country and price filter are selected. So in this case, it's going to be country and price filter are selected. So here we're going to have, so I'm going to type it now. So we're going to have an if statement if country is selected, so it's not default, is not default country, and country Z is supposed to be here, and is not default price, but in this case is default property. Then we're going to return properties that matches with the country or simply the location selected and the price selected. So here we're going to have return house dot country that equals the country selected and house price that is greater than or equal to the minimum price and house price that is less than or equal to the maximum price. Okay. And then the next thing that we'll put into consideration is to return houses where both property and filter are selected and price filters are selected. So right here we did for country and price. Now we want to do for property and price. We've done for country and property. We've done for property and price. So now we want to do for property and price in this case. So here we're going to have if country is default, that means if country is not selected, which is also the location at our front end on the screen, and property is not default, property is selected, which is also our property type, and price is not default, it's default price. We're going to return house dot property that matches the property, and house price that is greater than or equal to the minimum price, and also house price that is less than or equal to the maximum price. Okay, so this is supposed to be return. And lastly, we're going to return false if no conditions are met. So here we're just going to type in return false. Okay, and here we're going to update the filtered house states because we're filtering the houses. So here, set filtered houses with new houses. So we've considered all the possible options. We started with if all the filters are selected, if we select a country, if we select a property, if we select a house price, which is the minimum and maximum price, it should return the houses that matches. We've also checked for if we do not select any. So here we're not selecting any of it, and it should return the house as well. And here we're checking if only country is selected, return houses that matches with the country. Here we're checking if only property is selected, return houses that matches with the property. We're checking if only price is selected here, return houses that matches with the minimum and maximum price. Here we're checking if country and property is selected, return houses that matches with the country and property. Here we're checking if country and price is selected, return houses that matches with the country and price. And here we're checking if property and price is selected, return houses that matches with the property and price. And if none is selected, return false. And here we're updating our filtered houses with the new house. So the next step now, we're going to use a use effect to set our default filtered houses if none is selected. So right here, we use effects. If filtered houses. So what we basically want to do here is, I said earlier on in the tutorial that in what we're trying to build, we only have 6 houses on display, right? But if we filter and it does not match with the 6 that we currently have, it's going to display other houses that matches with what we filter. So right here, we want to ensure that we only have 6 houses displayed. So first, we're going to check the length of the houses. And we're going to store the first 6 homes that we have in our data set. So here, filtered houses dot length equals 0. Then we're going to set filtered houses homes dot slice. We use the slice method, and it's going to be the first 6 homes. And right here for our use effect, we'll add a comma, and here we'll have the dependency area, and it's going to be the homes and filtered houses, so that it will run whenever the homes or houses change. So here we're going to have homes, comma, filtered houses. Okay, and right here where we have all our values listed, we're also going to add our country, state, and the setter function to it. So here, country, set country, price, set price, property, set property, and then our undo search as well. Our undo search function, we'll add it to it. Our filtered houses, we're going to add it to it as well. So now that we've considered all the possibilities, Let's ensure that it works with the estate list and also our search functionality. So we're going to start with the search. Let me close this main.js. Why is it still open? So right here in our search, we have our defaults. Like I said, we have the default for both price, country, and property type. So the first thing we're going to do here is to extract the states and set of functions that we need from our context. So here I'm going to have consts. We need homes, we need country, we need the setter function set country, we need property, which is going to be the value, we need set price, we need price itself, we need set property, and finally our undo search function. And here use context will be shop context. Okay, and right here we're going to import our shop context. Okay, our use context has been imported, so here we're just going to import shop context, import shop context. Okay, I've been using shop context. I meant to say home context. Okay, so here is going to be home context. So I'm just going to retype it. Home context. Okay, so it has been imported here automatically. So I'm just going to delete this import that we have here. All right, so now we need to place the value in the select tag. So right here, the value here for this case, which is our location, is going to be country. Okay, because we're starting with location. And then also, okay, let me just press enter. We're going to use an unchanged because obviously we're going to be selecting different options. So here we're going to have unchanged. So event, we'll create an arrow function because there's going to be an event. Clicking and unclicking is an event. So here set country is going to be event dot target dot value, and in this case the value is the country, which is going to be one of the options that we're selecting, right? And the next thing on our list is the property type. So for this select here, we're going to do the same thing that we did here. We're going to create the value. The value here is going to be the property. Then we'll use an unchanged method as well. Unchanged, create an arrow function, and then call the setter function, which is set property e.target.value. And lastly, our price range, we'll set the value as well. Value here is price, and then we use an unchanged method as well. Create an arrow function, pass our event, and here set price is going to be e.target.value. And then to link all of this together, so now we have our search functionality, we have the values, we have our change method, and we have our options to also select from. Okay, so this is the value here, default, this value, which we've already converted to an integer earlier on in home context. This is our value here as well, apartments, villa, houses, and all of that. So to link all of this together, we need to filter the houses here. Okay, so but right here, what we did here is we want to ensure that the filtered houses, the length is greater than 0. Is if filtered houses dot length equals to 0, then we're setting the filtered houses home dot slice from 0 to 6. This is supposed to be 6. not 0. So we want to display just 6 houses. So we'll come back here. Instead of using homes here, we'll come right here, and it's going to be filtered houses. So I'm just going to do Control D here. This is going to be filtered houses. Okay, so first off, it's going to display just 6 houses. At the same time, if we filter using the search, it's going to display houses that matches with it, to display houses that matches with the filtered houses. Okay, so now back to our search. The search cannot work if our button is not working, right? So that's why we have the handle search. So we'll come here in the button tag, we'll use an on-click method. So here, on-click, we'll call our undo search. Right. So this search is what is going to undo the entire options and selections that we're going to be doing. So right now we have just 6 houses here on our list. Now let's try to filter. We have just 6 houses, unlike before that we had 18 houses on the list. We have 6 houses only on the list displaying. That is not the entire houses that we have, but if we filter and the 6 houses and the houses are not here in the 6 houses, it's going to display every other houses that matches with what we're trying to filter. So now we're going to start with location. Let's start for now. Let's see. Right now, the houses that we have on display, we have the one in UK, we have the one in Canada, we have USA, UK, Canada, USA. That's what we have now. So let's start with the location. I just selected USA now for location only. Remember that we wrote the code for houses if the user selects only the location. So I'm going to click on search now. As you can see, the houses that we have on display, the locations are only USA, USA, USA. So that first functionality is working. Let's click on Canada. The houses on our list now is only Canada, 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 right? So if we click on UK as well, if I click on search, the houses here are just UK, 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 UK. Okay, now back to default. Let's click on, for property type, let's click on apartment. The houses here are all apartment. Jackson Office apartment, Vision Breeze, Ocean Breeze apartment. Every houses here are apartment. So let's go back to default. Now for price range, let's select houses between 200,000 to 300,000. Click on search. All of the houses that will be displayed here will have it 280,000, 300,000, 205,000, 300,000, 205,000, 300,000. So the price range filter is working as well. Let's click on 300,000 and above. So if we try for location, we have USA, and then we want to select the property type that is an apartment. So we're only using these 2 filters, and I click on search. We're going to have just one house right here. The location is USA and it's an apartment. So this is working. Back to our defaults, click on search, and we have all other properties listed. So the next step now is to create the mission page, just like we have it here, just like we have it immediately after the house list. So we're going to have this mission page here and our footer. So let's create this mission component. So we're going to close our home context, estate list, the search, leave our home page open, and then I'm going to click on mission. First off, we need to import the image that we're going to use. So we're going to import image first. We're going to import mission image. We're just going to name it mission image from // our asset folder / we're going to be using the Villa 2 image, villa2.jpg. So we can now start designing the UI. So we're going to have 2 sides, left and right. So a comment for left side, left section, and then we're going to have the right section as well. Right section. So for the left section, we have a div tag. In the div tag, we'll have an image, and for the image, we'll replace these quotes with our mission image. Now for the right side, we'll have an H1 text. So our H1 will have this text: invest in your future home with the best. Then we'll have a P tag that will have this text. So I'm just going to close this, and then we're going to have a button after it. So here we'll have a button to book an inspection. Okay, and in our home page, we're going to mount the mission section immediately after the estate list. So here we're going to have mission. So it has already imported here. So now we're just going to check. So we have the mission. This is the image and this is the text. So we need to style it. So it's going to look like this. So we'll open our mission page and we'll start styling. So we'll have class name here. Display is going to be flex. Flex direction will be colon. For large screen, the flex direction will be row. So here, flex row. We want all the items at the center. So item center. Justify between. Padding in line of 10. And on a large screen, px will be 24. We'll add a gap of 10 between the two sides. And then we'll have a margin top of 8. Now we'll start with the left section. So for the left section, on a large screen, the width is going to be half. Here as well, the display is going to be flex. Justify center, we want the image at the center. Then for the image itself, we'll set the width to 550 pixels. The height will take 580 pixels. And we're going to have a border radius around it of 5 pixels. And then we'll have a border radius around the top right, and it's going to take 100 pixels, and the bottom left as well. So rounded bottom left of 100 pixels as well. Then object feet will be cover, so object cover. And for the right section now, we're going to have, we did not enclose all of this in the div, so I'm going to cut it, Ctrl X, and we'll have a div. Then we're going to paste it back, Ctrl V. So here, let's start styling. Class name, the width will also be half, and we'll have a margin top of 10. On a large screen, our margin top will be 20, and we want the text at the center. On a large screen, the text should be at the left. So here, text left. And then for our H1 tag, give it a class name as well. Text will be 4XL. On a large screen, text will be 5XL. Font will be bold. And text gray 800. And on a P tag as well, margin top will be 4. The text size will be LG, which is large, and the text color will be gray 600. Now for our button, margin top will be 6, background color cyan 500. Text color will be white. The fonts will be bold. PY3, PX4. And then rounded LG. We'll have a shadow MD. And we hover on it. So here, hover. The background color will be cyan, let's say 600, and we'll have the transition as well. So if we view it now, this is what we have, and it's exactly like this. It's exactly like this. So this is it. If you hover on it, the color changes a bit. It becomes a little bit deeper, and this is what we have. So the next thing that we need to work on now, before working our final thing, which is the footer, is to ensure that users are able to view the the pages, like for if they click on any property, they are able to view the property pages. So if I click on this property now, we should be able to see the page, more details about the property. So we should have a designated page for every property. So that's the next thing we're going to work on. So for every page, we need to work on that as well. So this is our own page, and these are the featured property. If I click on this house, the first house that we have, you can see the name of the apartment, the price, the location, the number of the properties of the apartment, a clearer image of the apartment, property description, more details, and a form to book an inspection. So that's the next step. So I'm going to close this mission component here, close our own page, then open our pages, close the component folder, the context as well, then open our estate details page file. So the first thing we're going to do here is to extract the ID from the parameter. Okay, so if this is the page for the first property, the details page for the first property, and if you can see this now, we have, this is the parameter. So this is the ID, which is 1. So if I click on this now, we're back to the home page. What we have here in our URL is quite different. Okay, so now if we want to view another property, let's say we want to view the third property, I click on it, and then on the third property, you can see that the ID is showing us that this is the third property. So we need to extract the ID from the URL parameter first. So we're going to come right here, and then we're going to have const ID will be equals to use params from React Router DOM. And then the next step is to find the house details based on the ID from our route. So here, const house will be equals to properties. So first off, we need to import our properties from our data file. So right here, we're going to import properties from our data file. And now right here, house will be properties dot find method passing house okay, then we'll have house dot id will be equal to, we're converting the id to an integer, pass int id. Okay, so we want to find the houses that matches with this house.id after we've converted the actual ID to an integer, and we're going to save it in house. Okay, so we can now design our, so I'm just going to delete this. Then we're going to start with the property name and the price section, also with the country. So I'll create a div tag here. And in this div tag, we're going to have an h2 tag for our property name, and we'll have a p tag as well for the price. Then after this div tag, we'll have an h3 tag for the country, then an hr tag. Okay, so for the first one is going to be for the house name. So here we're going to have house.name. Second will be for house price, and here we'll have house dot price. This h3 tag here will be for the country, which is also the location. So here house dot country, we have our hr tag. Then we'll have for our property features. So okay, let me have comments here. Property name, price, and location. Second will be for property features. So here we'll have a div tag, and we'll have about 4 p tags. So we'll have 3 p tags, and the first one is going to be for the beds, number of beds, house dot beds. If it's a 2 bed, if it's a 3 bed, So the next one is going to be for the number of bedrooms, house.bits, and this one here will be for the property type, house.property. If it's an apartment, if it's a villa, whichever one it is. But we need the icons, right? So right here, we need the bed icon. So I'm just going to type in bed, and React is going to suggest a list of icons that matches with the keyword bed. So I'm going to be using this one here. Then for bits as well, I'm going to type in bits, and React is just going to do its thing. So we're going to use the first one. And mind you, it is all importing here because I'm just selecting from the list that is displayed. And here, property type, we need the landmark icon. So we're going to use the first one as well, landmark. And then we'll have an HR tag after this div tag. So here, an HR tag. Then we're going to have our property image. So I have a comment here as well for property image. And in our property image, the image tag, and here replace the quotes with the curly braces, and then house dot image. Then we'll have our property description. We'll start with an h2 tag, and we'll type in this word, property description. Then we'll have the property details. So here we'll have a div tag, and the div tag, we're going to have 4 div tags. So the first one will have a p tag, and the second will have an h4 tag. It's going to be like that for the 4. So I'm just going to copy paste. Then I'm going to add a space so that we can understand what we're doing. Okay, so let me just format the document. Okay, so we can see clearly. So the first one is going to be, the first p tag here will be for property type, and the h4 tag will be house.property. Second one is going to be for the status of the house, and here the house is available. Third is going to be for the year bits, and right here we're just going to have 2022, and here property ID. So I'm typing it in because we don't have it in the data file. Okay, so if you have it in the data file, it's just going to be house dot, maybe you name the object availability house dot year built, house dot property ID. So here I'm just going to type in a random property ID, so it can just be GKH whatever. Okay, so after this we're going to have an HR tag as well. Then we're going to get to the long description. So property, let me just give it long description, and right here we'll have 4 p tags, and it's just going to be for our house dot description. Same thing here, so I'm just going to copy this to make things faster, paste it here, and paste it here. Then we're going to have our contact form, so we'll create a div tag here. So I'm just going to write a comment as well for contact form. So we'll have our div tag here. Then we'll start with the p tag that will take this text, and then we'll have our form tag. So we'll start building our form. First we need an h2 tag, and it's going to be book and inspection. Then we'll have a div tag. So the first div tag, we'll have our label. So I'm going to remove this, and here we're going to have the full name, which is going to be compulsory. Then we'll have a div tag for the input field, which is going to be 2. So the first one is a text, the second one is a text as well. And we need a placeholder. So here, I'm just going to select both, Control Alt, then select. So here, placeholder, we'll have first name and last name. So I'm just going to type in name. So this one is going to take first name. And this is going to take last name. Then we'll have required. Here, this is also required as well. So after this input field for the names, we need another input field for the email. So we'll create a div tag here. Label. This one is for email. So here we're going to have email. Then we'll have our input field for email as well. So input email, the name, ID, Here we'll have placeholder, and it's going to be example@gmail.com. After this div tag, we'll have another div for the message. So label for messages. So here we're going to type in messages, and here text area. So the name here is going to be message. Then placeholder is going to be hi, I'm interested in this property. Just telling the user what to type. So that is what we're going to have here. So we're going to create a button now after this button, and it's going to be a submit button. So the text here is submit. So this is for the estate details. So we're going to click on any of the property and see if we're going to be seeing all of this. So now we're going to click on this property, and then we can see that this is the third property here from the ID, the name of the property, the price, the location, the image, the description, and the font. So we're going to style it so that it's going to look like this property that we have here, since it's the same thing. So we're going to style it now. So we'll start from this class name. The width will be 4 mx also. We want it at the center. Margin top, we'll set it to 8. Now for the property name and price, class name here, display will be flex, justify, between, text cyan 500, text here will be 3XL, and the font will be bold. For the price, we'll add a $sign. Now for this H2 tag here, we're going to leave this. The P tag as well, we're going to style this. The text color will be gray, 600, and the text will be 4XL. Then for the location, class name, text will be XL, text color gray 500, and we'll have a margin top of 2, margin bottom of 4. Now for the HR tag, class name, border gray 300, MY will be 4. Then for the property features, class name, display will be flex, justify between. So here we're going to have justify between, and we'll add a padding of 5. So the text size will be LG, and the font width semi-bold, and the text color will set it to black. Now for this p tag, we'll have a class name here. This is going to be flex, item center, and for the icon, class name as well. Margin right, we set it to 2. So since we want the text to all have the same styling, I'm just going to copy this and paste it here. Do the same thing here. The icon as well, I'll copy this, paste it here, and paste this here as well. Now for the HR tag that we have here, we're going to style it. Class name, border will be gray 300, and we're going to have my to be 4. Then for the image is next. So here, class name, the width to be full. We'll set the height to 500 pixels. Margin top, we'll set it to 4. Object fit to be cover. So here, object cover, rounded LG, so 1 border radius around it. And now this H2 here, class name, text will be 2XL, font will be semi-bold, margin top will be 6, and for this property description, for the property details, class name, display will be grid columns 2. Then we'll have a gap of 6, a margin top of 8, and a margin bottom of 6. Then for the p tag, class name, the text color will be gray 600. The H4 tag as well, class name, text will be LG, and the font weight will be medium. So it's going to be the same for the other 3. I'm just going to copy this here and then paste it here. Do the same thing for this year build and do the same thing here. So I'm just going to remove this extra one. Then for the H4 as well, I'm going to copy this as well. Copy, come in here, paste, come here, paste, here as well, paste. Next is the long property description. So I'm going to style the entire p tag together. Class name, text, gray 700, texts, okay, so no, leading, relaxed, and imagine bottom of 4. Now we have the contact form, which is the last thing here. Class name, the max width will be 3XL, padding will take 6. We'll have a border, then our border color will be gray 300, then rounded border radius LG, shadow MD, margin top of 8. For this p tag, the text will be at the center, so text center. The text color will be gray as well, 600. Margin bottom will be 4. Then for our H2 tag, class name, text at the center, text size 2XL, and the font will be semi-bold. Margin bottom will be 6. Now for the first div tag that we have here, the margin bottom here will be 4. Here, the display here will be block, and the font will be semi-bold. And for this div tag that wraps the first name and last name, the display would be flex, gap will be 4, And for this input field as well, we're just going to style. The width will be 1/2, padding will be 2, we want the border, and the border color of gray 300, rounded MD. Here as well, class name, margin bottom of 4. Then for this label here, display will be block as well, font semi bold, and this is going to have the same styling, so we're just going to copy this and then paste it here as well. Then for this class name, margin bottom will be 4 as well. The label here, display will be block, and the font will be semi bold. Now for this text area, so we're going to style it as well. The width will be full, padding 2, we'll have a border color gray 300, rounded MD, we'll have a height of 24 and resize to none. That is for the text area. Now for our button, give it a class name. The width will be full, padding 3, background color will be cyan 500, the text color will be white, the font semi bold, rounded MD, over background cyan 600, and we'll have a transition as well. So this is what we have now. Okay, we need to write beds here, okay. This has no, so I think the border here is not showing, so let's correct that. So back here, okay, this is supposed to be border, and here, this here is supposed to be bits, and this is supposed to be beds. Okay, so we now have our border. Okay, but the length is not, so let's adjust that. So the width here for the email section, the width is going to be full. Okay, so this is what we have now. Okay, so let's check if it is the same thing with what we have here. As you can see, it is. Now we need to start out the footer. The footer is going to be at every single page, whether it's the property details page, every page, our footer is going to be there. So we need to create our footer and style it. So we're going to close the estate details, and then we're going to open our components again. Then we'll start with our footer. So for our footer, we'll clear this. So we'll have 2 divs. The first one will be for the content, and the second one will be for the copyright section. For the footer content, we'll have 3 divs: the left, the right, and the center content. So we'll start with the left content. We'll have an H2 tag here, and it will take this text. Then we'll have a P tag that would also take this text. Okay, then we'll have our icons. So here I'll create a div tag, but we need to import the image icon, so we need 3 of them. So we have the images in our asset folder. This is it here: LinkedIn icon, Twitter icon, and Facebook icon. So we're going to import them right here. So it's going to be import Facebook. I'm just going to name it Facebook here. from assets slash, the name is Facebook underscore icon. Let's see, Facebook underscore icon dot png. So here underscore icon dot png. We do the same for the Twitter and LinkedIn icon. So import Twitter from asset folder slash Twitter underscore icon dot png, and the same for our LinkedIn folder, LinkedIn icon, LinkedIn from asset folder slash LinkedIn dot, okay, LinkedIn icon dot png. Okay, then we're going to close this. Then we'll replace this. So the first one here is going to be Facebook. Oh, Control Z, Control Z. Okay, I didn't deselect. So here we'll have Facebook. Second one will be for Twitter. And the last one will be for LinkedIn. Okay, so this is for the left section. Now we'll have the right section, which is the second div that we have here. The center section, not right section. So here we'll have an H2 tag. Then we'll have a list with 4 list items. Okay, so for this H2 tag, it's going to take this text, company, and the first one here is going to be home. Second one is going to be about us. Third one is going to be services. And the last one is going to be privacy policy. Then the right section, we've done for center. Then for the right section here, we'll have an H2 tag as well. It's going to take this text. Then we'll have another list for, so this is going to be 3 lists to get in touch. First is going to take this. Then the second will take these texts, and the third would also take this text. Okay, then we'll have, so in between the content and the copyright section, we'll have an HR tag. So this div here is going to have a P tag. So here, copyright 2025 HPG properties. You just type in all rights reserved and all of that. So let's see our footer. Right now, this is what we have. So let's style our footer. So we'll start from the top. Class name, we're changing the background to cyan 400, and the text color will be black. Display would be flex will be colon. Then once the items at the center, gap of 5, px 8, and py 20. Margin top will be 8. Now for the contents, the width will be full. Display will be grid scroll 3. Now grid scroll 1, and on a medium size will be grid scroll 3. Then we'll have a gap of 10. Text will be left. Max width 6XL. So this is for the left section here. We're going to display flex colon with a gap of 5. Now for the first text will be 2XL, and the font will be semi-bold. For the second one, which is the P tag, class name, text will be base leading relaxed. So here, class name flex, items center, then we had a gap of 4, a margin top of 3. For the image, the width will be 10 and cursor will be pointer. Okay, now for the center section here, class name, display will be flex, colon, gap of 5. Then for this text here, class name, the text will be 2XL and the font will be semi-bold. Now for the lists, class name, we had a space on Y, so it will be 2, and the text will be base. Here as well, class name, flex column, gap will be 5, and the H2 tag as well, class name, text will be 2XL, font will be semi-bold. And for this list, class name, we add a space, Y to be 2, and the text base. Now for the divider, for the HR tag, we'll have a class name as well. The width to be full, border top 2, and the border color, so we'll have border gray 600. We'll set MY to be 5, and the max width will be 6XL. Now for this class name, text should be at the center and the fonts should be XL. So this is what we have. This is the final look of our footer. So this is our mission section here. This is the property lists. Featured, we have 6 featured property. This is the search functionality, and this is the hero section and the navigation bar. So if we compare, okay, right here we're still on the estate details page. Back to our home page. So okay, so our search functionality here has a shadow, and I think this doesn't have a shadow, it's just plain. So let's edit the styling. So I'll close this footer, open the search. Let me close the assets folder. Now the search, and right here we're going to have a shadow. So shadow empty. So we have the shadow here, so we can select different property, we can filter, we can just do whatever. So we can search, we can filter, we can select location, USA, and we're just going to have properties that will match with the country. We can select our property type. If it's a villa, we're going to have properties that matches with the location, which is USA. The property type is a villa. As you can see, we have 3 properties that match with this, and this third property is not even on the featured list property, but it is part of our data set, the available properties, so it's going to display as well. We can select our price range. So let's see, the properties here are 300,000, 300,000, and 170,000. So let's say we want properties that are just below 300,000, and we click on search. Only this first property is going to display. It matches this criteria. The location is USA, it's a villa, and it's between 0 to 200,000, and the 170,000 matches. So this, our logic here is working. Thank you so much for watching. I'll drop the images and other necessary, I'll drop the images in the links to the image in the description box, and also the source code as well in the description box. Do not forget to subscribe, guys. Thank you. Don't forget to watch, like, subscribe, and share with your loved ones.